Ida always. Ida always. I like that picture. I can see the city and a park and some water. Gus lived in a big park in the middle of an even bigger city. Buildings grew around him and shifted the shape of the sky. Zookeepers poked in and out. Visitors came and went. But every morning, when the keys clicked and the shoes clacked, Gus crawled out of his cave and spent his day with Ida. Ida was right there always. When Gus tossed the ball, Ida was there to catch it. And when Gus splashed the water, Ida was right there to splash him right back. They chased and they raced until the school bells rang. Then the two friends flopped on their favorite rock while the city pulsed around them. I wish we could see it, Gus sighed. You don't have to see it to feel it, said Ida. Listen. They heard buses groan, trucks rumble, police whistle, taxis honk, pigeons coo. People say, hey, wait, yo, hello, and children laugh. That's the city's heartbeat, said Ida. It's always right here with us. Always. When the sky grew dark, Gus and Ida waved goodnight and crawled off to their caves. With the subways humming underground, they added their snores to the sound of their city. Every day was always the same. Until one morning when the keys clicked and the shoes clacked and Gus crawled out. But Ida wasn't there. Gus lumbered to Ida's cave. He heard breathing, coughing, snoring, sleeping. He sat in their sunniest spot and waited. The coffee carts ground their beans and the squirrels squabbled over crumbs. Visitors shuffled in, zookeepers bustled about. Ida had never slept so late. Snow monkeys and taxicabs screeched, ice cream trucks jingled. Still, Ida didn't come. Keeper Sonia came instead. Sonia told Gus Ida was very sick. Usually there's a way to make a sick bear better, but this time is different. Ida wouldn't hurt, but she would get tired and too weak to swim and play. Then one day, when her body stopped working, Ida would die. Sonia's voice was soft. But the words felt so rough to Gus. His insides churned. His chin shook. The sky rumbled. Gus rushed to his friend. Don't go, he growled. Don't go, don't go, don't. Ida growled right back. Together they stomped and they snarled. Their growls turned into howls. So loudly they filled up the zoo, rising higher than the skyscrapers, scaring pigeons, surging towards the stars. And then they stopped. Two friends folded into one shadow and slumped quietly on the rocks. Two bears' noses sniffled, two bear breaths panted, two bear hearts echoed each other's beat. They copied each other's their heartbeats. A plane roared overhead. Gus and Ida wondered where it was going. They wondered where Ida was going too. They wondered and guessed and imagined as they whispered nose to nose. Wherever I go, said Ida, I bet I'll always smell your fishy breath. That made Gus smile. He wasn't sure if he should, but Ida was giggling too. They let their laughs bounce back and forth between them. My pages don't like me today. From then on, Ida spent most days in her cave. She slept a lot, but she didn't hurt. The keepers took good care of her, and Gus helped. He gathered her favorite toys and fishy treats. He brought her visitor notes. So the visitors wrote her notes. There were growling days and laughing days and days that mixed them up. Sometimes Ida needed a moment alone, and sometimes Gus did too. But at the end of each day, Gus always told Ida, I'll miss you. And Ida always told Gus, I'll miss you too. They would cuddle until the sky grew dark and the lamps of the city clicked on. They would wave goodnight 1,000 times and then wave a few more. Then one sunny day, while Gus soothed her fur, Ida curled into a quiet. Her eyes fluttered shut and they didn't open anymore. Gus pressed one last pat into Ida's paw. The papers shared the news. The city cried. For days, the zoo was filled with goodbyes. Now, when the keys click and the shoes clack, Gus crawls out of his cave, knowing Ida won't be there. He dives and swims alone. He eats his lunch with Sonia. They roll Ida's favorite yellow ball. Some days, Gus forgets. He looks for Ida on the rock in her cave behind the waterfall. When he remembers she isn't there, he rests in the shadows. But even in the shadows, the sounds of the city reach him. He hears buses groan, trucks rumble, police whistle, taxis honk, pigeons coo, people say, hey, wait, yo, hello, and children laugh. Gus smiles. He steps into the spot where Ida liked to soak up in the sun. He listens to their city pulsing around them. He remembers that Ida said, you don't have to see it to feel it. The sidewalk tap and the streets hum. Gus's heart beats. And Ida is right there, always. Love the ending. Do you see the shape of the clouds? The end. So in the back of this book, the author shares that this is a fictional story, but it is based off of two bears who lived in a zoo together.